Critics are singing the praises of Despicable Me 2. It's laugh out loud hilarious and despicably clever. One of the funniest movies ever. If you see one movie this summer, see 2. Despicable Me 2, rated PG.
Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Today I am discussing Illumination Entertainment's Despicable Me 2. A sequel to the 2010 original, Despicable Me 2 follows the further adventures of a now-reformed Gru, who is brought out of retirement by a group called the Anti-Villain League, or AVL, to help defeat a new supervillain. Joined by fellow AVL agent Lucy Wilde, his adopted daughters Margot, Edith, and Agnes, and of course the ever-hilarious Minions, Gru goes on to have an adventure that takes many elements from the first film, but manages to put enough spin on them to make them still work. First of all, let me mention that this sequel has almost no connection in terms of plot to the first film. All you need to know is that Gru used to be a villain, but now he's retired, and he has 3 adopted daughters. That's as far as the connection goes. And while the main plot of the story is fairly well executed, it's rather bogged down by an excess of subplots. For example, Margot, the eldest daughter, has a romantic subplot with Antonio, the son of our main villain, El Macho. I know this sounds like an important development, it's really not. You could cut it from the film entirely and you wouldn't have noticed, and the time could have been spent on developing the actually important plot points. Despite the pointless subplots, the movie manages to focus a great deal on its characters, namely the romance between Steve Carell's Gru and Kristen Wiig's Lucy Wilde. Carell is reliably funny as the snarky and cynical Gru, and Wiig serves as a good contrast as the goofy, optimistic, and hyper-energetic Lucy. While I freely admit that Wiig's character is basically just Lola Bunny from the Looney Tunes show, but as a human, that's okay because, well, Lola Bunny is hilarious. So I don't know what people are complaining about. Russell Brand as Dr. Nefario and Miranda Cosgrove as Margot both do a decent job at reprising their roles, but neither of them are really given a whole lot to do, which the pointless subplots and unfocused narrative certainly don't help that. However, a huge amount of credit must go to Benjamin Bratt as El Macho, who replaced Al Pacino in the role just 2 months before the film's release. Which raises the question, Al Pacino signed on for Jack and Jill, but apparently Despicable Me 2 wasn't good enough for him. Interesting choice. Moving on, Bratt's voice manages to fit the animation of the character seamlessly, and while it's nice to see a Hispanic character being played by a Hispanic actor, which is actually rarer in Hollywood than you might think, Pacino would have been funnier as El Macho because, well, El Macho is basically just a cartoon version of Tony Montana. And now we come to the thing that everyone remembers from the first film, the Minions. I must warn you, if you didn't like the Minions in the first film, you're really not gonna like this movie. The Minions have a much greater role than they did in the original, though, honestly, I never had a problem with it. I thought they were really funny, and I never thought they felt like they went too far. Having said that, the times the pop culture references with the Minions fell a bit flat. As you saw in the trailer attached to this video, the Minions dress up as the Village People at one point. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, Despicable Me fans are totally gonna get that reference, right? Despite some nitpicks and a rather unfocused narrative, while Despicable Me 2 doesn't quite exceed its predecessor, it does manage to be at least on the same level in terms of family entertainment, and I highly recommend it. I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Goodbye.